Good morning. I am Darrell Boffman, Executive Director of Public Affairs for Frederick County Public Schools. Welcome to the annual Central Office Veterans Day program. Please rise for the singing of the national anthem and remain standing through the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free in the home of the brave. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. At this time, I would like to take a moment to introduce our special guests for today's program. We're excited to have student performers Emily Blake, Christine Zieta, and Stephanie Price from Urbana High School. Our nominees for the Veteran in Education Service Award and their guests: Colonel Dexter Nunnally, Joint Army Garrison Commander, Fort Detrick; Colonel Fred Schumacher, retired, Chair of the Frederick County Veterans Advisory Council; school board members, President of the Board, Mr. Brad Young; Dr. Lois Jarman; Ms. Karen Yoho; Superintendent Dr. Terry Alvin; and Deputy Superintendent Mr. Michael Marco. On the 11th day of the 11th month, at the 11th hour, hostilities during one of the most cataclysmic human events in history drew to a close. The Great War, or World War I, witnessed the mobilization of more than 65 million uniformed troops and inflicted astronomical casualties exceeding 37 million. Though the United States entered the conflict near its end, we did not escape unscathed. 4.3 million Americans served during the war, 116,000 given the last measure of devotion in their service to our nation. Much has happened in our history since the Great War. Unfortunately, World War I was not the war to end all wars. the world saw yet another catastrophic conflict only a few decades later, and many others since. Though this day was originally commemorated as Armistice Day and intended to honor those who fought in World War I, at the urging of our veterans, Congress changed the name of the holiday in 1954 from Armistice Day to Veterans Day. Veterans Day, however, is not a solitary holiday for the United States, as Britain, Canada, Australia, and France share in observing the service of their veterans on this day. Drawing strength from our collective experiences, we pause on November 11th every year to honor the service and sacrifices of so many. Mr. Brad Young recognized Veterans Day at yesterday's board meeting. Thank you, sir. And today, we gather as a community to honor all who put on the uniform in service to our nation. At this time, I would like to introduce Mr. Brad Young, President of the Frederick County Board of Education. President Young will provide comments on behalf of the board.
Thank you, Darrell, and thank you to all the folks, Colleen, and staff that put this great program together every year. Unfortunately, this year, many of our schools did not get to have their normal Veterans Days programs. Every year I've gone the past several years down to Oakdale High School where they have a great program, but many of our schools do a great job. And I've always been asked, why do you have school on Veterans Day? And part of it is a learning process of being able to teach our students about why we have Veterans Day and how important our armed services are to our country. I'm bringing comments today on behalf of the board, and I'm joined by Dr. Lois Jarman behind me here and by Ms. Karen Yoho, fellow board members. Thank them for being here as well today. On Veterans Day, we honor those who honor our country with its highest form of service. Those who wore the uniform of the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines, or the Coast Guard. To everyone who served our country, we owe you our thanks and our respect, and we owe you our freedom. We come together to express our profound gratitude for the sacrifices and contributions you and your family made on the battlefield, at home, at outposts around the world. For our FCPS veterans, we also owe great appreciation for the example that you've continued to set after your service to our great country through the military. Many of you now are serving our students right here in Frederick County. Your experience and your service are invaluable assets that our students benefit from. We thank you for bringing that experience back and sharing it with our students and enriching their experience and understanding of the importance of our military and those who have served in our country. You have my greatest respect, and we thank you and congratulations to all those that are being honored here today, and eventually the winner of the final award. You all have the board's greatest admiration and respect. Thank you, and God bless.
This year, we are pleased to have with us violinist Emily Blake from Urbana High School. Emily will perform Ashokan Farewell by Jay Unger, arranged by Sandy Heralt. After Emily's performance, Dr. Terry Alban, Superintendent of Frederick County Public Schools, will share her Veterans Day message.
Thank you, Emily. What a beautiful tribute to our veterans. And thank you, Principal Keene, for being here to celebrate with her. Well, with the gorgeous fall weather that we experienced last weekend, I was fortunate enough to hike with my family and appreciate the beautiful scenery around us. It was a very pleasant hike, not too strenuous, and with perfect temperatures. And as I admired the outline of Sugarloaf Mountain in the distance, my mind began to imagine the soldiers of the Civil War, hiking through fields or forest and climbing those mountains on their way to war. And the word sacrifice immediately came to mind. So often when I think of our veterans, I think about the courage they demonstrate and their bravery in battle. I admire their commitment to serve and their incredible patriotic love for our country. Yet as I hiked along that trail, I kept reflecting on the many sacrifices a veteran makes. I tried to imagine the physical sacrifices, the endurance required in basic training and on the battlefield, pushing one's body to the limits, regardless of the fatigue, the pain, the hunger, the incredible discomfort. I tried to imagine the pain of losing a limb or suffering a traumatic brain injury, and the incredible sacrifice then required for rehabilitation and adjusting to a whole new lifestyle. I pondered the emotional sacrifices, the time away from loved ones, the special milestones missed with spouses or parents or children, the need to constantly adjust to new surroundings, whether it be at a new base assignment or in a foreign country during deployment, and watching the emotional impact on family members in these new settings or during deployment, and understanding that service and sacrifice are demanded of families of veterans as well. And finally, I reflected on the emotional scars that stay with veterans for the rest of their lives after experiencing the horrors of war. The sacrifices made by the many men and women who serve our country and ensure our freedom need to be recognized and remembered. Veterans Day is one day when we pause to reflect and offer gratitude, but our veterans deserve much more. They deserve a nation where citizens work to support our country and its democratic ideals. A nation where citizens embrace the rights we have been granted and work to ensure those rights are extended to every man, woman, and child. When Americans work to fulfill the democratic values of our nation, we honor the courage and sacrifices of our veterans. That is the thanks they deserve every day. To all of the veterans who now serve FCPS, I offer my unending gratitude and appreciation for your service. And to all American veterans, I thank you for my country and for the opportunity you have given me to do what is right in service to the democratic ideals and values for which you served. At this time, we would like to pause and salute all of our veterans. First, let us recognize those who are with us for our program today. Would the veterans in the audience please stand so we can applaud for you? And next, please join me in honoring our system veterans who are highlighted in our annual Veterans Day video.
Let's have a round of applause for all of our service members continuing to serve as they serve our students and families of Frederick County. Frederick County Public Schools is dedicated to strengthening our community by providing a high-quality education that reaches, challenges, and prepares our students for a global society. Integral to this mission is the nurturing of relationships with families and the entire community, sharing responsibility for student success and demonstrating pride in all aspects of our school system. We have made it a priority to encourage and sustain collaborations across our community to support the success of our students. One such collaboration we are considering is with the Frederick County Veterans Advisory Council. Today it is my privilege to introduce Colonel Retired Fred Schumacher, U.S. Army, and Chair of the Frederick County Veterans Advisory Council, also known as the VAC. The County Council created the VAC in 2018 to advise the county executive on issues of importance to veterans and their families. The VAC also serves as a conduit for information and resources for the county's 18,000 veterans and their families who may need assistance furthering their education, finding employment, receiving counseling, or other services. Colonel Schumacher was commissioned a second lieutenant through the ROTC program at Gettysburg College in 1969, retiring as colonel in 2004. Fred's assignments included the 3rd Infantry Division, 82nd Airborne Division, ROTC duty at Penn State University, the 98th Training Division in Rochester, New York, the Full-Time Management Center in St. Louis, and his last assignment was with the U.S. Army Physical Disability Agency at Walter Reed Army Medical Center. Fred is a graduate of the Infantry School, Airborne School, Ranger School, Command and General Staff College, and the Defense Strategy Institute. He earned a master's in business administration from Farley Dickinson University and is a Lean Six Sigma black belt. Fred and his family have lived in Frederick for the past 24 years. His daughters attended Spring Ridge Elementary, TJ Middle, and TJ High School. Please join me in welcoming Colonel Fred Schumacher, who will provide comments on behalf of the Veterans Advisory Council.
President Young, Dr. Alban, it is truly an honor and a privilege to stand before you this morning. The presentation of the number of veterans that are serving in the Frederick County public school system is impressive. What is equally impressive is the resumes and the nominations that we receive from the administration of the individuals sitting before us. You have served your country and you have served the school system. Thank you for that service. Veterans Advisory Council would like to ask for your support in 2 areas. First of all, to educate your fellow veterans that we exist. We have a very robust website that lists all the resources that are available throughout the county, Virginia, and the District of Columbia to assist our veterans in housing, jobs, education, medical services. The second item I would like you to consider is in September of 2021, if you look at the Frederick News Post, there'll be an advertisement for positions at the Frederick Veterans Advisory Council. I'd like you to consider strongly applying for that position. Reason I'm asking that is we have representatives from the Frederick Community College, Mount St. Mary's, and Hood College. It would be great if we could sort of complete the circle of educational organizations with a representative from the Frederick County Public School System. Again, thank you for your service, and thanks for the invitation to speak before you this morning.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike Marco. I am Dr. Aubyn's lieutenant. John Adams wrote, "If we do not lay out ourselves in the service of mankind, who shall we serve?" I can think of no higher service than the service of our men and women who serve and have served in the armed forces, and we honor them on this day. In 2017, FCPS launched a new systemic award, the Veteran Education Service Award. The purpose of this annual system recognition is to honor an FCPS employee who served our nation in the armed forces and has continued their call to service through the work at Frederick County Public Schools. Each fall, nominations for the award are accepted from staff, students, parents, and other community members. And all nominees are honored as part of our annual FCPS Veterans Day program. Frederick County Public Schools is fortunate to have many community partners who support our system mission and goals. The Veteran Education Service Award is made possible through the generosity of Woodsboro Bank. Our award sponsor, Mr. Stephen Hine, President and CEO of Woodsboro Bank, could not be with us today in person, but asked that we share these remarks on his behalf. I am sorry I could not be with you today. My Woodsboro Bank colleagues and I are honored to sponsor Frederick County Public Schools Veterans Recognition Program. On this day, after Veterans Day, I thank you all, the veterans who served our country through your unselfish dedication and sacrifices. You've set the example for today's active and reservist military members. It's because of you, the people of the United States and peoples across the world have been able to sleep at night knowing there are brave and skilled souls who stand between them and the people who would do them harm. Thank God for you and those who came after you. Mr. Hine looks forward to honoring the recipient of this year's award during the Board of Education meeting on November 23rd. I wish each of our nominees the best and thank all the veterans who serve in Frederick County Public Schools. At this time, I would like to invite Dr. Aubyn to recognize our nominees.
So in military terms, is the lieutenant the one who does everything you want done? Okay, then he got that right. It is truly a privilege to have this opportunity to recognize the service of these dedicated FCPS employees. Would each nominee please rise and be recognized when I read your name? And we ask the audience to hold applause until all nominees' names have been read. Jason Blocker, Special Education, Orchard Grove Elementary School, Army National Guard. Laurie Bohannon, User Support Specialist, Governor Thomas Johnson Middle School, U.S. Air Force and Air National Guard. Ida Davis, Teacher, Special Education, Urbana High School, U.S. Army. Denise Green, Teacher, Special Education, Walkersville High School, U.S. Air Force. Thomas Hawthorne, Teacher, Agriculture, Career Technology Education, Linganore High School, United States Marine Corps. Alexander Owen, Teacher, Social Studies, Oakdale Middle School, U.S. Navy. Isaac Patterson, Instructional Assistant, Special Education, Tuscarora High School, U.S. Air Force. Dr. Christine Samuels, Assistant Principal, West Frederick Middle School, U.S. Army. Congratulations. Please join me in thanking each of our nominees for their continued service to our community. At the conclusion of our ceremony, each nominee and their guests will be invited to take photos in our TV studio. In the coming days, our selection committee will complete the arduous task of identifying this year's award recipient. We hope that everyone will join us virtually at the November 23rd Board of Education meeting, when we will officially recognize this year's Veteran in Education Service Award recipient.
Today, we are also excited to have with us the Joint Army Garrison Commander of Fort Detrick, Colonel Dexter Nunnally. Colonel Nunnally was commissioned as a signal officer from the Georgia Institute of Technology's Reserve Officer Training Corps. His first assignment was as a tank platoon leader in Bravo Troop, 4th Cavalry Regiment in Korea. I pause there because I, too, was a tank platoon leader. And so was Paul Lebo, who was also a part of Frederick County Public Schools Cabinet. So tankers rule. He earned his BA in Finance from Morehouse College and a master's in Public Policy from Georgetown University. His military education includes the Armor Officer Basic Course, U.S. Marine Corps Expeditionary Warfare School, Command and General Staff College, immediate level education, and then the U.S. Army War College. Colonel Nunnally's previous assignments include Company Commander for 269th Signal Company and the 504 Signal Battalion, Joint Staff Office of the Secretary of Defense Intern, S6, the 1st Armored Brigade Combat Team in the 3rd Infantry Division. Also as Operations Officer, 1st Brigade Special Troops Battalion, also a part of the 3rd Infantry Division, and the Cyber Domain Chief for NORAD, U.S. Northcom. As the Assistant Chief of Staff, G6, 2nd Infantry Division, and Senior Signal Observer Coach Trainer, the Joint Readiness Training Center. And his last assignment was as the Assistant Chief of Staff, G6, for Cyberspace for Allied Headquarters Land Command in Izmir, Turkey. Colonel Nunnally's operational deployments include Operation Stabilize from 1999 to 2000, Operation Enduring Freedom from 2005 to 2006, and Operation Iraqi Freedom 2007 to 2008. Please join me in welcoming Colonel Dexter Nunnally.
Good afternoon, everyone. I know they gave me a script, but I like to go off script a lot. Only thing I want to say is quickly, congratulations to all the nominees for your continued, for the Veterans in Education Service Award. It says a lot that you not only left the military, served the nation, but you've now entered into a job where you're now continuing to serve the community around you and doing a lot for our children. So thank you and congratulations again. Those who have served and those currently serving in the armed forces of the United States are ever mindful that the sweetness of enduring peace has always been tainted by the bitterness of personal sacrifice. We are compelled to never forget that while we enjoy our daily pleasures, there are others who have endured and may still be enduring the agonies of pain, deprivation, and internment. Before we end our program today, we will pause to recognize our POWs and MIAs. We call your attention to the small table to the left, which occupies the place of dignity and honor. It is set for one, symbolizing the fact that members of our armed forces are missing from our ranks. We call them POWs and MIAs. We call them comrades. They are unable to be with their loved ones and families today, so we join together to pay a humble tribute to them and bear witness to their continued absence. This table, set for one, is small, symbolizing the frailty of one prisoner, alone against his or her oppressors. The tablecloth is white, symbolic of the purity of their intentions to respond to their country's call to arms. The single red rose in the vase signifies the blood they have shed to ensure the freedom of our beloved United States of America. The rose also reminds us of the family and friends who keep the faith while awaiting their return. The yellow ribbon on the vase represents those who demand a final accounting of our comrades who are not among us today. The slice of lemon on the plate reminds us of their bitter fate. The salt, when sprinkled onto the plate, reminds us of the countless fallen tears of families as they wait. The glass is inverted. They cannot toast with us this day. The chair is empty. They are not here. The candle is reminiscent of the light of hope which lives in our hearts to illuminate their way home, away from their captors, and into the open arms of a grateful nation. Let us remember them and never forget their sacrifices. May we be ever vigilant of their sacrifices and strive to bring them home.
You may be seated. Thank you all so much for joining us today for our annual program. We know that there are certain things happening in our community, in our country, in our world that causes change, but I'm glad that we could still celebrate today. So thank you for joining us. Representative Dan Lipinski said, "On the battlefield, the military pledges to leave no soldier behind. As a nation, let it be our pledge that when they return home, we leave no veteran behind. Let us dedicate ourselves to ensuring that every veteran is valued, their families supported, and the democratic ideals for which they served and sacrificed are preserved." This concludes our program today. We ask that if you're one of the nominees that you remain seated until the others have left the room. And as I stated previously, I will be taking pictures in our studio. The gentleman in the back will lead you to the studios, and please remain social distance as we line up. Thank you so much.